The chair of this round table will be our dear collaborator, Vesna Marjanovic, who's the General Secretary of Europa, Nostra, Serbia. And she will be the chair of the round table. Online will join us Valeria Acconcia. I hope that she's there. Valeria, do you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we hear you as well. Perfect. Melsi is maybe doing some sightseeing still. Okay, so we will wait for him. Julia Katsadima is the next speaker from Ioannina, Greece. And we will have Irena Lazar, the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, University of Primorska, Koper, Slovenia, here. And that's it. We will just wait a couple of minutes for Mel Silabi from Albania to join us.
Hello again. So thank you for inviting me to be part of this very interesting exchange today. This is a very important subject for not only professionals and experts in the field of archaeology, but also for civil society organizations such as ours, Europa Nostra Serbia, which is part of the wider network of NGOs and civil society organizations and individuals throughout Europe. I believe you all have at least one organization in your respective countries from the Europa Nostra network. If you don't mind, if it's okay with the panel, to begin, and if we can be on our first name basis, it would be easier for me, and I hope that's that's okay by the protocol. Let us start. If you don't mind, I will try to make this conversation a bit more dynamic and more personal, if I can say that, to exchange your ideas and experiences. So if maybe just in a couple of minutes shortly you can give us your own assessment of how this exchange, this project, has helped you yourself as professionals, but also the archaeological parks that you work within or with, to, let's say, improve or widen the perspectives of how to develop the planning and the management of these parks for, let's say, the new challenges and for the future. So how did this program help? What did you learn from this exchange? So maybe we can start with Valeria, who is online. That's okay.
Do you hear me? Yeah. Do you hear me? Okay. Yeah. From my personal point of view, which is the same of the Institute, the Central Institute for Archaeology, this project has helped and promoted the interest of our institute, which is one of the offices of the Ministry, Italian Ministry of Culture, in focusing the aspects of protection, valorization, and research managed in the interaction between the Ministry of Culture offices and foreign and national institutions that are mainly universities and private public consortia. So in our activity, we focused the system of protection connected to the system of the valorization, and focusing the aspects, legal and legislation aspects. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So maybe we can start from Melsi. Okay. Yeah. We don't have another mic.
Okay. Actually, it was a bit to be in this project was a bit challenging because for us, because for new rules, new ideas, new mentality used to produce and to make something sustainable in this project. And the main good things are the exchanging of experiences that we all together have with each other, and I mean, like Albanian representatives, we actually got new ideas about what happening by the European laws in terms of how we should preserve, how we should create the new legislation in local layer, in national layer, and in the mentality layer as well, in terms of preserving and then to create a sustainable culture for the generations that coming behind. After this, accepting, you know, the fact that we actually have some challenges in terms of new laws of sustainable institution in our country, because somehow they're changing. I mean, the politics, the national politics, decision making, they just changing time by time, changing the laws, changing the institution, changing the people, which is not good for the sustainable, let's say, cultural heritage and pass over the new generation experience. But in the other hand, we have learned and we have improved our capacity and our capacity to in terms of scientific way of preserving and then giving the experience to the others. I mean, to the other actors like scientific institutions, universities, wearing the people of the archaeological site areas, countries, and in the end, giving to them a new, by our experience, the new opportunity of creating economic sustainability of heritage areas around the countries, in special places, Antigua place. Thank you.
Okay, it's really a great honor to be here, and it's quite an experience. I'm an archaeologist, and I work as a curator of antiquities in the Ephorate of the Antiquities of Ioannina. So I do believe that there is a huge difference concerning in the discussion about the archaeological parks, because maybe you have noticed that there are the parks and there are the archaeological site of Dodona. And because it's a matter of jurisdiction and a matter of legislation. Because we don't have parks in Greece. We have sites and we don't have management, but we have public authorities like the Ephorate of Antiquities of Ioannina, which are responsible for this site. So on every step pertaining to an archaeological site, we have the state. We have a public authority, and this is us. So, if I really want to go through your question, is that me working there was participating in the transfer project is that it was really important to find out, to see things from outside. And this is why transfer is so important to us, because it provides an opportunity to open up to the communities, to the people who live around Dodona. Because there's one more parameter that I really need to stress, that apart from the site per se, there is a buffer zone around it. And in this buffer zone, it is actually it is a non-construction zone, and there are very strict regulations about all the activities. I mean, there's no building activities, no quarrying, no greenhouses. It's only small scale livestock. It's very mild activities. And this has made people around the archaeological site of okay. And this, well, and this made the people that they live here around Dodona very angry with us. And this is practically, this is the reality that the people who work there and who are responsible for the management of the site have to deal with. And it's not easy, and it's not very pleasant at all. So the thing with the transfer is that it provides us new channels of coming close to these people. And I'm referring to the pilot actions that has been organized within this project. Because we're really looking forward, the people who work in the archaeological service of in the Ephorate of the Antiquities of Ioannina, we are looking forward for synergies. And this is a wonderful Greek word, and it's working together. And I guess this is what transfer really, this is what we have gained through this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm very pleased that I am here with you, and I would like to thank you, the Slovenian partners, who have invited me to participate in this project as so-called external expert. Why? The Archaeological Park of Petovio is the park in the process of establishing, but we at the University in Koper, in Primorska, Capodistria, we are managing one archaeological park, which is the site of Villa Maritima with the Roman port. So in this way, I was able to collaborate with the colleagues from Petovio in the project, in the process, and also perhaps giving our experience and so on within this process. But for me, personally, it was also very important to see the process of the project and also the result of the project, because I was able to check in a way where we are in our archaeological part from the point of view what this project has pointed out and put together. So how we are developing certain collaboration with local community, using ICT tools, how our study programs that we are offering at the university, like cultural heritage, archaeology, can help in development of archaeological park and so on. And I believe that that was really a very good experience. And also on the other side, somehow we were forced to go through the legislation and also to see what are the points which are not prepared very well, what should be perhaps pointed out, and give some instructions or proposals to change, to make better in a way that archaeological parks in Slovenia as parks or as sites would be better managed, because I was also involved in this evaluation of archaeological park in Slovenia, and of course there are great differences, and the results of this project, somehow the ideas how to follow the new definition of what is archaeological park. This is all, so everything which would be of great help.
Yes, of course.
Okay. In Albania, we are facing with two mentalities. I mean, the old mentality of archaeological scientists that even you in Greece, I guess, have the same problem, if I can call it problem. The old mentality, which is that the archaeological sites should be not touched, should be excavated, stay like this, only the preservation and no need to put nothing inside or new technology, etc., etc. And the new mentality that actually said that, or think that we should put only the technological instruments and do not to have a scientific, let's say, mentality and approach in it. Just, you know, mediatization and selling the products like legends or without experience or scientific experience and exchanging as well. So, in these terms, the transfer project, they just connected this kind of mentalities, two opposite mentalities together, and they just somehow succeeded to make them to collaborate. In our country, it's a specific one because the old Garda, the old mentality, the representation of the old Garda, they are the making decision people. So when they, or their mentality is just crushed just a bit, that even the new technology is useful to well organized a park or archaeological park or site. So I think that this is a success for us.
Okay, thank you. Now you have all opened questions that I will try to go a little bit further more on all these topics. I have written down some of the questions that I find interesting, and you have already touched upon those. And first, and maybe most of all, is this communication with the local communities and civil society organizations. So, as you said, here in Serbia as well, we have the institutional mechanisms that are a little bit rigid when it comes to opening to a wider public, which is maybe understandable because of the archaeological value and preservation that you need to keep. But again, it opens questions of value for citizens and democratic questions, etc. So my question is, again, maybe if I may start with Valeria, is does the Central Institute in a country like Italy, which has so many riches and so many experience, has, regardless of the legal documents that are brought politically in political institutions, but are there any long-standing projects like this one that the Institute supports when it comes to helping sites or archaeological parks to communicate more with the local communities, have educational methods of working with local communities, and does it support collaborating with civil society organizations in this area? Just a second.
Do you hear me?
Yes, please go on.
Okay, as you know, in Italy we have some autonomous archaeological parks, which depends by the Ministry of Culture, but also archaeological parks which are managed by private-public consortia. Okay. From our point of view, we, apart from the Adrian transfer project, We started a collaboration with other Ministry of Culture offices and private partners to define a model of managing archaeological parks connected to a specific research theme, as for instance the Etruscan parks. You know that the Etruscans were an ancient people in Italy, and we have a lot of local archaeological parks in the Lazio and Tuscany region, and we are trying to define a sustainable model which connect all these different regional entities. This starting just from the experience in the transfer project. Okay.
Thank you very much. So to continue with the subject of cooperation or inclusion of local communities and CSOs, I would add maybe first with Irena another question which I find is interesting is that let's say the Faro Convention, which this program is also based on, the principles of Faro Convention. Serbia is among many countries that has ratified the convention, but we have more than enough examples where you can see that is not really implemented. On the other side, there are many, not many, but some important European countries that did not ratify the convention, but they actually do implement the principles, especially in local communities. So what is your experience in, first of all, can you give us a good example of this shift or change in how the local communities accept these archaeological sites as their own, so to speak? And also, do you find that Faro has been an useful instrument in your daily work?
Yes, thank you. For our point of view, we must say that working with local community was something that has been developing from the starting point, because our site is a small site on the coastal area, and people in this area were living with the remains of the Roman Villa Maritima, because this is lying on the coast. People were walking there, putting together the mosaic stones and so on and so on. So when the research was finished and the site was abandoned for about 20 years and closed, after the opening and starting with work, the local community was eager to know what is going on, what will you do, and so on. And at the beginning, we have realized that only research and conservation on the site, of course, cannot be an issue. It is very important that we show to the local community that this is still their piece of land, if I may say so, that we would like to work with them together. So it was a collaboration started not only with the municipality who is the owner of the site, like in the case of Petovi, of this park, which was part of the project. It was also collaboration with schools, with libraries, with associations of the town, making together different events which were important for society and so on. So in this way, this was so-called mass for us working on the site. And also on the other side, since, as I said before, we have study program teaching cultural heritage. We are teaching about the conventions, about explaining what individual conventions meaning, what is their importance. Also the Convention of Cultural Tourism, which is also important part of our work, etc. I believe that it is important to explain why is this organized, why is this signed, and what is that meaning for the society, for the site where you are working on, and so on. I hope.
Well, to continue, Julia, you said that this program helped to break, so to speak, this buffer zone between the archaeological. So I didn't understand. Okay, so let us explore what do you find could be interesting or should be implemented in order to have the local community more involved or more understanding, so to speak, if that's...
Well, first of all, I really want to point out that the archaeological site of Dodona per se is being, it doesn't belong to a municipality, it belongs to the state. And for the last 20 years, over 10 million euros have been spent to excavations, restorations, preservation works. And at the same time, there has all this, during the last 20, 30 years, there's lots of festivals, of educational programs, of workshops, of conferences, of excavations. We have that. There's even, a digital application, and there's a new project that is undertaken by the Ephorate of Antiquities of Ioannina towards gamification of the site. So, as you see, all these steps, we have all the packets, if I may say. Dodona has it. It has it all. But the thing that we need to change is the perception of the site among the locals. Because as Elena pointed out, in antiquity, Dodona was very famous. Herodotus said that it was Dodona was the most ancient of all the oracles in Greece. And we have even Lord Byron in Grand Tour of the beginning of the 19th century that he came and looked throughout for Dodona. So, but we do have the feeling, because my colleagues and I, we've been working like over 30 years in the archaeological service, and the thing we need to have is to change the way the locals see us. And this is why transfers was so important. And we made, but still it's difficult, because, okay, I have to admit it, that during the transfer, there's another site, we made these pilot actions, and we used every media, and we went through advertising and so on and so on. But still, there wasn't too many of the stakeholders that there wasn't so many stakeholders that would attend these meetings. And actually, this is proven to be one of our goals in the Ephorate of the Antiquities of Ioannina, to bring these people together, because, okay, we have the festivals, we have the educational programs, we have all these nice things, and the theaters and blah, blah, blah. But it comes all, it's all about the money. I'm sorry, it's, it's Italy and Greece has really a huge asset in cultural assets, natural assets. And this will definitely contribute to boom the, if I may say, the economy of the area, and make people's lives better. So I a few steps should also be made to these directions. And of course, we do have operational programs that they are running right now in Greece. And we have many collaborations with the Prefecture of Epirus, with the municipality of Dodona. But I do believe that this is the beginning has been done. And so, okay, and that's the very first step towards this change of altitude, of mentality, of all these things that are really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can keep the mic if you don't mind. Okay, my next question maybe for you, Melts, because you mentioned new technologies and digital technologies that can be helpful in developing archaeological parks for the future and communicating with the public. Where do you find, or could you tell us, where do you see where this balance is? You know, not to enter a site and then immediately, the fine balance between, you know, letting the public really see the real artifacts, the real excavations, the real monuments, and not be completely mesmerized by with phones and applications and screens. So did this exchange between archaeologists in this program and in this region has helped you see these examples where there was a fine balance made, where actually technology improves and not put the archaeological site in the background, if I may say?
To find the borderline, actually, or to define the borderline, the exact one, it's difficult anyway. But in the beginning, as we know that in Albania, until 30 years before, the private sector didn't exist, by the law, by mentality, etc., etc. So, in the beginning, when I say in the beginning, I say these 4-5 years from now, we aimed in the beginning to educate, to give information, especially with transfer project. That's the reason that we connected with a local institution, with high education research institution like universities in Georgia, etc. And we used this way with our partners, Italian partners, and then somehow Greeks and English partners in several point of time in Albania. We first gave the information. We tried to learn to them that it's more important for them to well preserve in terms of using the area. And then we tried with the project, with the transfer project, to put some technology, not the whole technology, but now in the beginning, some parts like tablets, VR, some other, let's say, exchanging opinions with each other. And in this area, we put even some economical issues to use or to gain a little bit of profit for the local people, like food, congress, or cultural festivals, theaters, different organizing different, let's say, events to bring the let's say the point of view to the site, and to learn to them that this archaeological site is profitable not only for the state in upper layer, not only for the national proudness, but even for the economical in sustainable level. So I can say that after this, after 4 years, from 2019 that the transfer project has actually begun, until now, we see that local people are a little bit happier than before, because they're gaining something. They're willing to protect the site, do not leave the others to like before, to do everything that they want, and somehow to even propose some changes that they actually think that should be in the site or in the reality. I didn't get the chance to say it before, but from 2019 until now, the number of visitors in Antigoniea has gone like triple. So from 940 to 60, now it's coming to 3,000 visitors. So this is, as we can see, this is not even for us the good thing, like the numbers. But this means that it's kind of economical, profitable for the as well. It's not everything, but it's the beginning, I think. So we hope to go like this. In the other part, the bad things right now is the overlapping of the laws, the overlapping of the institution, local, central, national, international, putting their sides, private sector, etc., etc. We have to change now the mentality first, and then the laws as well. Just to go both together. But still, the border between doing good or bad with putting everything or every technology in, it's difficult to say right now. We have to balance, just going step by step to see what happened, to let's say gain the experience and the feedback from every part, to collaborate and to put everyone else, I mean, like local people, institution, everybody, the new generation, in collaboration with each other, and then to propose, by the mentality, to propose the new laws that are useful for the site.
Thank you. We will continue later quickly with this interesting issue of between development and preservation or sustainability. Irena wanted to have...
Yes, since we were talking about the archaeologies not through archaeology, different archaeologies, I think that when we are talking about the archaeological parks or archaeological sites which are open to the public, we must have in mind that this is the site which is addressing the public. So this is the site who is working with the interpretation for the public. So addressing this public who is visiting archaeological park or the site with so-called purely scientific language will give no results. So we must have in mind that we need a team of people who is able and who has experience in different fields. Every site will continue to do the research, the conservation, but if it is open to the public, the very, very important part is interpretation for the public, working with the public, preparing the program for the public, and that is why we need the people who have experience and who have been educated in this way. And then, of course, addressing to local community, addressing the stakeholder and so on will be much easier and with big, greater results.
Thank you very much. Maybe just an additional question also for Valeria and the benefits of digital technology in preservation of archaeological sites and parks. Do you find that the digital technologies have been beneficial in the same way for all aspects, for research, for conservation, for education, interpretation, or did it give more benefits in one or two of all of these disciplines? What are the results of this transfer program and project when it comes to that? Did the partners included in the project improve their routines or the activities through digital and communication technologies? Valeria? Unfortunately, I cannot see her from, I have to turn my back, but maybe she has left. Yes. Has she left or she? Okay. We will continue. If somebody from the audience can signal me when she comes back. Okay, let's maybe talk to Julia a bit more about digital technologies.
Should we wait for Valeria?
Okay, we can come back to that. I have another question for all of you, and that is the relation.
We can go ahead with your question about ICT tools. Well, some people might think that it's like the Pandora box, but it's not. It's the possibilities are immense. And for the people who work in the archaeological sites, and like me and my colleagues, it's very important because it will give us a hand to go more close to the younger generation. It's that's a sine qua non, because audience demand and even children and adolescents demand technology. All the things otherwise are really will be with no interest for them. They will be really dull, and so it's of huge importance that the ICT tools embrace the sites and the parks. And it was really impressive, this mapping that our Italian colleague presented in the very beginning about Pompeii, about this mapping. And it was really, really impressive. And this mapping it's very important to have a view, a control of such a huge site per se. So there's Valeria, so let's hear Valeria.
Valeria, I don't know if...
I didn't listen to anything because my connection was interrupted.
Okay, the question we are now talking about the importance of digital technologies in developing the different aspects of archaeology. So where did this project program develop or supported new or best examples in using digital technology? Is it more beneficial in the area of education or interpretation or research or conservation, or all of these areas of work? And what is your experience that you can share with us?
The experience of the Central Institute for Archaeology can be connected probably better with the collecting of data, of archaeological data, because from the institutional point of view, the ICA is not a valorization office. Probably the best we can do in this kind of project is to create a digital infrastructure to collect and to access to the data of the archaeological research in our national territory. And this data, this information can be the base to build reconstruction and other forms of dissemination of the information. So, for instance, we are quite finished to engineer a geoportal, a national archaeological geoportal, which is the point of access for the archaeological data, for the data coming from the investigation research. And this is the national geoportal for archaeology, which will be online in a few months. Okay.
Probably we have to make a definition by the, let's say, the name. If we say that it's an archaeological site, should be more archaic and put, let's say, not so many technology. But if we say that it's open museum, so let's swap in the roles then, put in just a bit more technology and interpretation as well. I think so. Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about my perspective in my country. I don't know what's happening actually in Greece, but...
Okay, but let me ask another question, which is maybe even more difficult. And that is, again, finding... I know there is no formula, let alone a magic formula.
We are here in a museum, and we have a lot of technology.
Yeah, okay. I'm moving
and it's okay.
I'm moving to another question now.
What will happen with this was an open, wide area, but still a museum with a lot of technology as well. But we cannot use such amount of these technologies in the open spaces, in a scientific archaeological sites, when the archaeologists are excavating, are doing research, etc., etc.
Okay, so the next question is related to. I mean, obviously, I'm mostly talking about archaeological sites that are open for the public. I'm trying to explore more these issues of engagement with local communities and CSOs and outreach. So the next question that I wanted to ask, again, as I said, I'm sure there is no formula, but as some of the archaeological sites are opening up for the public, or changing their outreach policies, how again do you, in order to attract tourists and the public, again find this thin line between having too many tourists, making it unsustainable, and also not transforming these sites into theme parks? So if you understand what I mean, because there are some issues around that we are now having discussions about where some professionals or the public thinks that in some places, some archaeological sites, they went a bit too far. So what is your opinion on these issues?
Well, it's a tricky question, and okay, I'm an archaeologist. I could never see an archaeological site as a theme place because it's so many things, an archaeological site. And maybe we should turn more to the, this is public, these are issues of public archaeology. And I'm more inclined to see more friendly an approach, a visit to an archaeological site, not as a visit to a theme park, for goodness sake, no. But if there's a digital application that you can use it on your mobile phone, that it would provide more information and it could make the visit interesting, then why not? I personally believe that there is this thin line, but very important one, between theme parks and archaeological parks, and it's that we shouldn't, I believe that it shouldn't be crossed. There are so many ways, and this is why ICT tools are so important. They're giving us so many ways to be close to these ruins and see them differently. And you can have educational programs, you can have whatever you like, but okay, you have to respect the site per se. It's like that the site is unique. And one of the most important characteristics is the authenticity. But what will remain if you have a theme park in Dodona? I mean, it's like, this is a no-no, definitely a no-no. But of course, this is what I do believe. Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I will perhaps continue when you have finished, because I agree completely with what you have said. On the other side, if I'm talking about Slovenia, which is a much smaller country, and our sites are by definition not the sites with extremely high number of visitors, but anyway, you have to think about that. And going back to the ICT tools, if you have ICT tools for monitoring number of visitors, the impact on the natural area, and so on, then you can put together the measures, the number of visitors. We have in Slovenia UNESCO site Škocjanske jame, Cave Park, which are already now monitoring the area and have put the highest number of visitors, and they don't accept more visitors. So this is a much wider impact than only a site. We were talking about sustainability. We were talking about that many archaeological sites are living in accordance to the natural areas, and so on and so on. When you put all this together, then of course you also have to think about this sustainability. So how much this area and this site can have not to go in the wrong way.
Okay, so let's try to answer a more concrete, or let's say a crucial question maybe for this whole day today and this whole conference is, we can start now from with Melsi and end up with Valeria, and that is this focal point of this project, and that is the new definition of archaeological parks. So do you find that, if accepted on the wider level, and then of course on your national or local levels, do you find that this new definition will improve all aspects of your personal engagement and your work, and the preservation and protection of archaeological sites and archaeological parks? So, Melsi, can we start with you?
Oh, this is one of these words that's beware of your dreams, that one day they may become true. Actually, I have to think about it. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna answer right now. I have to think about.
Okay, that's fine.
Because it's a kind of, yeah, your position like archaeologist, your mentality, and like and your mentality like public. You know, you have to see from both point of view. But probably later I'll give an answer after
Okay,
the lady.
we don't have to have definite answers. We can just.
I cannot create a definite
Yeah.
a definite answer right now. Like, you know, will be wrong if I say it.
Okay. Do you have a thought?
Well, I like the definition. I mean, think it's very important. It's in according to the project, and if I may say, also the museum have prepared the new definition. It was accepted last year after many long period of discussion and so on. And I believe that I'm talking in the case of Slovenia, would be important to present this definition also to the society, to the archaeological society in Slovenia, to the people working on the site, to understand archaeological park or archaeological site in a broader sense, and see also in this definition the possibility of development of the site.
Yeah, probably we have to spread out the new definition, then to take the feedback and then to decide what will happen.
So spread the
yeah,
idea.
we have done the most of, let's say, the work right now. We have spread out for a couple of years before with the project as well as different projects around the Albanian country, but. Yeah, it's a good thing, but I'm not sure how the people will reflect, how the communities will reflect about this new definition. But yeah, it's always good to have this kind of definition. Positive.
So it's a new topic for educating the citizens.
Yes.
That's the main crucial point.
Yeah.
Education in the beginning.
Of course. And the Dona could become an archaeological park. I mean, it's very important. It has values, I'm sorry, archaeological values, environmental values, natural values, and it's very important for the area per se. So I do believe that the very first step has been made. Even that we can bring to the discussion of the term a site or a park, but of course, and yes, the Dona could be part in this heritage trail or in a cultural route that could run across the Adriatic coast and the Ionian coast. And we do like to think, and we are really opening the archaeotourism or cultural tourism or food tourism. All this have its place because they are important for the site, for the region of Epirus where the Dona is situated. And why not? I mean, the Dona could be a destination of its own. And you can just, I mean, we can have, like Athens, for example, we may have a distinctive group of people that they might say, oh, we would definitely have to visit the Dona. And I mean, you can understand that, that under this statement, or how important is this statement for the region, because if they go to the area and they find the site, they find services really, and they will be taken care by the locals, and they have all these nice restaurants and all these thrilling little pieces that they make someone staying really extraordinary. Then yes, the Dona could be a destination of its own. And yes, we can refer to the Dona as a park, but it's very important that we have the archaeologists, the people who dealing with this place, is that we have to keep, the most important thing is its authenticity. It's very, that's why I don't like theme parks really. And there's a lot that we can do in this direction, and I do believe that transfer will transfer us to a new era and a bridge and create a bridge between past, present, and future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also, Valeria, how do we spread or advocate the new definition of archaeological parks to the authorities and also to the wider public?
I think that this is a good starting point almost for our national system of valorization. But I think as the Albanian colleague, that it must be discussed between the various subjects, the institutional subject as the central authority, as the ministry, and also its peripheral offices, and also the other partners, private or local authorities partners, because as I try to explain in a previous meeting of transfer, the Italian legislation about cultural heritage is quite rigid for some point of view. So I think we have really, this experience can be a good starting point, but we need probably more time to develop it as a pilot experience.
Thank you.
We think it's a good thing, but we have to wait for the feedback. But we hope it's a wonderful thing, because somehow this definition melts the mentality of an archaeologist and a museologist in scientific point of view. And yes, this will be helpful, but anyway, we have to wait for the feedback. Who are we to say that this is good, this is true, false, good or wrong? So we have to experiment, we have to take action actually, like we have. So the genuine things have become in the world because of the action. So let's take the action.
Okay, so we have been speaking for about an hour, and maybe somebody from the audience would like to ask questions or join the conversation. Anyone? Okay, if not, maybe just another round. I'm not sure how. I think we have a bit more time. The question is concerning this project, transfer project, and new methodologies and planning that has been envisaged by this project, and the new definitions. How applicable do you find that they are with the legal frameworks in your countries? I mean, this is the most boring question, I know, but you don't have to go into too many details, but just your general, do you find that it can be an obstacle or an encouragement for new legal frameworks in your respective countries? Yes, please.
It's challenging, but it's useful. To be honest, it's not. In the laws, in perspective of discussing laws, we have. I can say that in Albanian law we have kind of gaps in it. So definitely this project with all this definition and the branch of rules and the bench of everything else, that the package of technological ICT tools, etc., with complete the mosaic. I don't think in case of Albania will be an I don't know, will be a wall to in perspective of let's say gapping the scientific way of thinking or putting something bad. No, for us is more than applicable and then helpful as well. I'm not sure, I don't know about the case of Greece, but to us it's okay. I know that it's something, yeah, it's challenging, yeah, okay. But in terms of cultural and archaeological scientific laws, we have some gaps created these 30 years. So this project and these definitions actually with the whole things, they fulfill these kind of gaps and holes as well. I'm talking only about Albania, don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, both issues, but different mentality.
Yes, that's true. Well, I think it's quite challenging, and there's okay. It's not that bad. The question is that we should engage collaborations. And we can, or maybe, and let me rephrase it, synergies, like developing factors or helping the public authorities, the development of factors like creative industries. And when I'm talking about creative industries, I mean advertising, marketing, architecture, arts and crafts, what else? Fashion, design, everything. And I guess that this is where we can meet public authorities and local stakeholders. We can have both, really. It's really simple as long as we can be open. And transfer gave us this possibility to re-examine the whole situation. So I guess it's not that difficult. See? It's not that difficult.
Okay.
I may say that for Slovenia, from the legal point of view, the things are quite well set in the legal framework, but knowing from our experience, I would perhaps point out two things which are not clearly defined and could open problems regarding the work in archaeological park. This is the appointment of manager of the park, which is in our law not very clearly defined, especially if you are owner of the area, not of the site of the heritage, but of the land. Then you can, of course, appoint some other person, but then you have some, I don't know, appointment, you can have an agreement or something like that, which is firmly enough set. The other problem is, which is perhaps very important, financing. For the movable heritage, for the museums in Slovenia, it is very clearly defined how they are financed. But for the immovable heritage, for the sites, for the parks, this is not so. So here we can have a problem because there is the definition how to finance archaeological research and conservation and restoration, but there is no word about public access, site as a public good, and so on. So it is important that we think about the parks, about cultural heritage as a global public good. And we have to stress everywhere where it's possible that this public good as a cultural heritage brings a lot to the world economy. But it is not well known, it is not known enough, so we have to keep in mind and we have to point out that everywhere where possible.
Thank you, Irena. And finally, we give the word to Valeria again. Maybe just give you a special opportunity to send a message of what you find as the most beneficial result of this transfer project up to now, and what do you see as the next first step after this conference?
Oh, it's a very difficult answer because maybe to the previous question would better answer my Italian colleagues over there, Professor Perna and Sofia Cingolani. They have direct experience with the case of an archaeological park in this project. And really, I don't know. Probably the next step is to expand this experience to other case studies or other archaeological parks, maybe connecting to other examples, not directly gravitating on the Adriatic basin. Maybe.
Okay, so I think it's time for us to wrap up. I would like to thank everyone that, to Valeria, to Irena, to Julia, to Melsi, for being dynamic in this conversation. For me, I would just like to emphasize that it is very obvious that archaeological sites and archaeological parks are preparing for the new reality, for the new future. This is good news. Cooperation between professionals and countries and different partners and different levels of society is always extremely valuable. And finally, maybe not lastly, but a very important issue for us here in Serbia is the ongoing cooperation through this project as well between EU and non-EU countries or candidate countries. I think it is very, very important that these practices are exchanged and that we maintain this collaboration in maintaining the highest standards in archaeology. So thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Question?
And I would like to ask Professor Perna if you have some comments or contribution to the topic of our roundtable. So please. You can use it.
Sorry for the third time. Just to underline some topics touched in the course of the roundtable, and that we have organized at the basis of the strategy that we should underline next at the end of this discussion. Because the partner of the transfer project shared some topics inside the project, our work. I go very fast. I hope the first one terms. The management of archaeological park is a landscape problem. It's not a problem regarding an museum, open air museum, and we have to involve the community. We talk about these topics. For us is very important. Now, in the first phase of the project, we know that the legislation in the European country is with a negative, have a negative approach. the archaeologists say that which we can't make. We can make building construction, we can make building a road. Our approach is different. We are archaeologists that we want to collaborate with the other professionals that work in the landscape. And it's not our idea, our new idea, but it depends from the European Convention of Malta, the Landscape Convention, the Faro Convention. We're talking about the Faro Convention. And other topics. The problems with the economy is very important. It's not easy to have an economic sustainability because it's not simply just an economic problem, the management of archaeological park. It's a social, cultural problem. But we have discussed inside this problem, and the ICT tools are the method, the one way in which we can try to find some solution for the problem, for the organization, the management, for the valorization, for the enhancement of the archaeological park of the territory. Another point for us important, the archaeological asset, the cultural asset is not a punctual. We don't have one site, we don't have one monument, we don't have one archaeological park closed without relation with the landscape, but the value, the asset is the relationship between the asset that we can find in the territory. We have so work in a holistic way in the landscape and in the different level of the problems that involve the society, economic, cultural, social, political. The involvement of the local community. We experienced in the organization of the management park that the involvement is very important because the conservation is on the end of the people that live in the archaeological area. And it's not a problem just of the archaeologists, of the politicians. When the people knows the importance of the cultural asset for the economic growth of the landscape of the territory, the people should be the first conservator of the cultural asset. And we, archaeologists, we have to change our approach. Now is an approach, we say, no, it's impossible to building, it's impossible to make new construction. We have organized, we have to share a different approach, collaborative with the other professionals that work inside the territory, the demography, the economist, all the politicians. And this one, we're talking about the new definition. And the plan and the project is the methodology to organize this new, different approach to the archaeological area, is the way in which we can apply the new definition of archaeological park. Methodology is plan, is project, because inside the plan, inside the project, we can interconnect all the different knowledge that is necessary to enhance the territory with the investment in the cultural asset. Elasticity. The territory is heterogeneous. The characteristic of the archaeological park is different. The situation, the territory, social, the political situation, the social situation, the economic situation, and it's important that the guideline that we apply in the management are elastic, because Italy is different from Greece, from Croatia, from Slovenia, from Albania. The the situation is different in the different country, the legislation is different in the different country, and our common model should be elastic. And thanks for the attention, and thanks.